Okay, imagine this. You're standing somewhere, wild, coast, maybe waves crashing, salty air, and you take a sip of something that just explodes with flavor. Intense smoke, peat, brine. But maybe something else too.
Sounds like Islay. Sounds like Ardbeg.
Exactly. That's where we're heading today. We're diving deep into Ardbeg whiskey.
A real giant in the whiskey world, especially if you like peat. It definitely makes a statement.
It really does. So we've got a pile of sources here, articles, notes about the distillery, its history, its different bottlings, and also a bit about a major retailer, how these whiskeys actually reach people.
Right. And the plan is to sift through all this. Yeah. Find the key nuggets. What actually makes Ardbeg? Ardbeg. Why does it have this almost cult following?
Think of it as your personal tour guide through the smoke. We're following the trail laid out in the sources. Let's get into it.
Okay, so first things first, you can't really talk about Ardbeg without talking about Islay. It's home, South Coast. And the sources mention, interestingly, that a whole little town sort of grew up around the distillery.
That connection to place, it seems really baked in.
Yeah.
The history, it's long, isn't it? And a bit murky at the start.
Well, yeah. The sources trace production back to, like, 1798, even though the official commercial start date is 1815.
Okay.
And there's strong suggestion that the earlier stuff was tied up with, the smuggling that was pretty rampant around there back then.
Is it a bit of romance, maybe?
Or grit.
A bit of both, perhaps. And Islay itself, the island, crucial. It's the smallest whiskey region in Scotland, technically, but the ground there, just loaded with peat.
Which is perfect for making single malt, especially the smoky kind. Absolutely fundamental to Ardbeg's whole identity.
And the distillery's actual spot. You know the picture,
right?
That's stark white building, black roof, right on the coast.
Yeah, you can almost feel the wind looking at it.
And the sources really emphasize that environment. Those Atlantic waves, the salty air. They say it all contributes to the whiskey's character, its terroir. It sort of soaks it up.
But it wasn't always smooth sailing, was it? The sources talk about closures in the 80s. Yeah, there were some tough times, periods when it was shut down, real uncertainty.
Makes you think about resilience, But then things change. There was a big moment mentioned in 1997.
The acquisition by Glenmorangie, which is now part of LVMH, the luxury goods group.
Right. And sources frame this as more than just a sale. It was like a new beginning, a focus on innovation, but also respecting what Ardbeg was.
A revival, yeah. Bringing it back, but maybe with more resources and a fresh perspective.
So you've got this specific place, this dramatic history. How does that translate into the glass? What is that Ardbeg character everyone talks about?
Well, the headline is obvious. Peat. Powerful peat smoke. The sources are clear. It's often seen as even more intense than many other Islay whiskeys.
The term peat bomb gets thrown around a lot, doesn't it?
It does, but, and this is important, the sources stress it's not just raw power. The really clever bit, the key insight maybe, is the balance.
Okay.
Despite that huge smokiness, Ardbeg is known for having this remarkable depth and complexity. It doesn't just flatten you with smoke.
So it's like a dance between the intensity and other elements.
Exactly. The flavor profile described in the notes points to this balanced sweetness playing against the smoke, a rich texture, and then these layers. Citrus, dark chocolate, spices coming through underneath.
And that comes down to how they make it.
Pretty much. It's a combination according to the sources. Heavily peated malt, for starters, getting those smoke compounds, the phenols, into the barley. Then careful choices during distillation, and really importantly, creative use of casks for aging.
The sources mention ppm numbers.
Yeah.
Parts per million phenols.
Yeah, for the core ones, like the 10-year-old and the wee beastie, it's typically around 50, 55 ppm measured in the malt, which is high.
And that connects to that ashtray note some people mentioned?
That description does pop up in the notes, yeah. But it's always qualified. The sources make a point that the final taste isn't just that ppm number. Distillation cuts, maturation time, the type of cask, they all massively shape how that peat comes across. It integrates, mellows, picks up other things. That's where the sweetness and spice come in, lifting it beyond just, smoky ash. It creates something memorable.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's talk specifics, because the range of whiskeys mentioned in the sources is pretty wide, showing different sides of that character, starting with the icons.
Right, the benchmark. Ardbeg Ten. Consistently called out in the sources as the classic example of a smoky whiskey.
The smoke bomb baseline.
Kind of, yeah. Notes describe iodine, salt, spices, licorice, peat, smoke, but also that balancing sweetness right through the finish. It's the reference point.
And then you have things like Uigeadail and Corryvreckan, which seem like a step up.
Definitely deeper, more complex profiles there. The notes say they blend that robust peat smoke with sweeter, fruity notes, maybe some more maritime stuff. They capture the core Ardbeg essence but add layers, richer.
But Ardbeg isn't just about the classics, is it? They're known for pushing boundaries. Some of the examples in the sources are, well, out there. Ardcore.
Hardcore. Sounds intense, doesn't it? The sources say it was made using roasted black malt, like really heavily roasted, burned, basically.
Wow. What did that taste like?
The notes are pretty dramatic. Spicy, burning sensation. Then charcoal, sweet smoke, strong anise, dark chocolate. Finishing with syrup toffee, soot, more smoke.
Phew.
One source even called it anarchistic but beautiful, which kind of sums up that experimental vibe, doesn't it?
Anarchistic but beautiful. I like that. It really captures it. And Ardbeg Spectacular. That sounds intriguing, too.
Yeah, that one's different again. Aged in ex-bourbon and port wine casks.
Okay, port casks. That adds sweetness, fruitiness usually.
You'd think. But the sources mention bizarre notes coming from that combo. Things like lavender, incense, almond nuttiness, alongside humid peat and wood smoke. It sounds like a really unexpected mix.
Definitely not your standard Ardbeg, then. And what about the Ardbeg 8-year-old for discussion? The name alone.
Tells you something, right? The sources position it as deliberately challenging. Younger, punchier, smoky intensity, charcoal, creosote. But then these weird hints of fennel and celery.
Fennel and celery. In a whiskey.
Apparently so. Designed to make you talk about it, literally bottled for discussion. It's a fun idea.
And for the collectors, there was the Ardbeg release.
Ah, yes, the committee release.
Yeah.
That was to honor the distillery manager, Mickey Heads, when he retired. Matured and used rye casks at cask strength.
Rye casks. Interesting.
And here's a little detail from the sources for the real nerds. Apparently, there's a French label version where the pirate on the bottle isn't holding a whiskey bottle. And that specific one is quite sought after by collectors.
Little things like that make all the difference to collectors, don't they? Okay, what else? Wee Beastie.
The youngster, only 5 years old, described as untamed, lots of bite.
Still at that high ppm, though, like
Yeah.
the 10.
Yeah, same 50, 55 ppm range mentioned, but matured in ex-bourbon and Oloroso sherry casks. Notes include chocolate, tar, crushed black pepper. It definitely sounds like it earns the Beastie name.
And finally, the Trebon, the 19-year-old.
Right, this is a series. The sources explain that new batches come out each year, all 19 years old, aged in American oak and Oloroso sherry. But they have subtle differences each time.
So batch 4 isn't quite the same as batch 5.
Exactly. The notes give examples like batch 5 having smoked mango, guava, maple syrup, bacon notes, whereas batch 4 was described as silkier with fennel, celery again, smoked pineapple, lime, anise.
Wow, so even at the same age, same cask types broadly, you get these distinct variations year to year. Keeps things interesting.
Definitely. So you go from that solid 10-year-old benchmark through the deeper core range to these really wild experiments and evolving aged expressions. You can see why people get hooked.
Which brings us nicely to the community aspect.
Yeah.
The Ardbeg Committee. The sources mention this. It's huge, right?
It's massive. A global fan club, the notes say over 120,000 members worldwide.
120,000. That's incredible when you think Islay itself only has, 3,000 people living there?
It really puts it in perspective. The sources definitely frame this committee as proof of Ardbeg's cult status. It's more than just a mailing list. It's a core part of their identity and how they engage with fans.
They do special events and stuff, too.
Yeah, the sources mention regular events held globally just for committee members. It builds that sense of belonging, that connection.
So, okay, we've got the island, the gritty history, the intense but balanced whiskey, the wild experiments, and this massive global community.
Yeah.
But how does someone in, say, Denmark actually get a bottle of that limited Ardcore or the latest Trebon batch? That's where the retailer part of our sources comes in, whisky.dk.
Right. The sources describe whisky.dk as Denmark's biggest whiskey retailer, both online and physical. Big showroom near Kolding, 500 square meters, apparently.
And it grew fast, started small.
Yeah, founded in 2012 by Bertelsen and Olsen, just online initially. But the notes highlight its rapid expansion won Denmark's Gazelle Prize for growth several times. Quite the success story.
And the connection to Ardbeg is?
Well, it's retailers like this, the ones with real passion or expertise, that are essential. They're the bridge. They provide the platform where you, the enthusiast, can actually find these Ardbegs, the core range, the special releases we talked about, and also learn more about them.
They do more than just sell bottles, though, right? The sources mentioned tastings, fairs.
Exactly. Tastings, organizing the Danish whiskey fair, Whiskey Messen. It's about building the culture, enhancing the experience, engaging people with spirits like Ardbeg. It's all part of the ecosystem.
Makes sense. The distillery makes it, the community loves it, the retailer gets it to you and helps you appreciate it.
It's the whole chain. From that rugged Islay coast, through the distillery's ups and downs, into those diverse bottles, fueled by the committee, and finally made accessible by passionate retailers.
So let's try and wrap this up. Key takeaways from our sources. Ardbeg's unique character, that powerful peat smoke balanced with sweetness and complexity, is totally tied to his Islay home and its eventful history.
And they have this amazing range from the iconic 10-year-old to some really boundary-pushing experiments, which keeps everyone, especially that huge global committee, engaged.
And retailers like whisky.dk play that vital role in connecting the distillery's output with the passionate fans.
It's a whole world built around smoke and spirit.
It really is.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a final thought for you, something that jumped out from the source material. Ardbeg apparently calls itself undoubtedly the best distillery on earth. Now, putting aside whether any distillery can objectively claim that.
Which is a big ask.
Right. But based on everything we've dug into today, the history, the very distinct flavor, the innovation, that massive community,
Yeah.
what elements do you think make a distillery truly stand out? What elevates it in your mind towards being considered the best? Is it the taste alone, the story, the feeling it gives you?
Something to mull over next time you've got a particularly compelling dram in your hand, maybe. What makes it special for you?